Hey D&D TikTok, let me talk to you a little bit about a one-shot I did that was called Wanted. Now I'd say that this campaign is good for levels anywhere from 5 all the way up to 20. And like most campaigns, they start in a major city. Now this city is a tourist destination as well as marveled for its high amounts of technology and magic. They hold a celebration every few years and celebrities and powerful beings from all across the realm attend. Your players start whining, dining, gambling, but then they wake up the next morning with memories being a little hazy. They're woken by the sounds of alarms and the city going on a magical lockdown. We're talking a massive magical barrier that eliminates teleportation. Not soon after that, their door is broken in by the robotic sentry guards. They're accused of murdering one of the highest officials in the city, somebody that they were actually hanging out with last night. One of the archmages of the city has met an unfortunate demise. I mean, clearly your characters aren't going to allow themselves to be captured, are they? So they can do one of two things, either try to prove their innocence and find the true murderer, or they can escape the city and become outlaws forever. But in order to prove their innocence, they might have to work with some of the city's underlings to do so. Hey D&D TikTok, what do you think are some of the most common unwritten rules of our game? Haha, the all-important Rule 0. Rule 0 states that the DM has final say in everything. This means the creation of new rules and setting boundaries, as well as breaking some established rules and making exceptions. So even though the DM has final say in everything going on in their game, this is a social contract between DM and players and all the players at the table that they are all working towards one common goal. That goal being rule number 1. And rule number 1 is 7 words, as long as everyone is having fun. It's as simple as that, just making sure everybody seems welcome. Everybody at the table needs to be having fun. And last of all, another good one is rule number 2, which I call the rule of cool. This rule further amplifies the previous 2 rules. New ideas and new concepts are literally created every single day, across everyone, everywhere, all the time. If something unexpected comes up and there's no rules or laws governing it, but it really entertains the table and is just flat out cool, refer to Rule 0 and maybe let it fly. So D&D parents, what are some things that you do to foster the creativity of your kids? Because I just found something amazing. Digging around through some old artwork for my kids, they were making some D&D weapons for me. So they made sketches of these weapons and then decided how they worked. All right, here's one of them right here. So this is the Star on Fire bow and arrow, or arrow, whatever. So I took this and I turned it into this, the Fairy Starfire bow. Ooh, shiny. I think that was my oldest daughter, who was 9 at the time. And then the 7-year-old went ahead and made this poisonous unicorn sword that, does poison damage and a bunch of other stuff here. But here was the result that I drew for it. Basically turned it into a rapier kind of thing. Yeah, stick this end into bad guy. Unique character concept. A relatively new warlock is thrown into a very weird situation when their patron is suddenly and mysteriously killed. However, one last desperate message was recovered from the patron. The entirety of the patron's power was split evenly amongst the 12 most loyal members. But if any member wants more power, they need to hunt down and take the powers from another warlock. The only problem is they know several of the other warlocks, and a lot of them are pretty chill people. I mean, maybe do you think they can share? And her understanding is that there was about 100 or more warlocks under the patron. Was this last message sent in error? Could it be a test of some kind? Is there really only a dozen or more incredibly powerful warlocks out there? If so, who can you trust? More importantly, who should you target? I present to you for your consideration, the Highlander Warlock. This character concept is for a powerful BBEG. He's a spellcaster whose story begins pleasant enough as a music instructor in a nearby town. But as always, his life takes a turn for the worst. Some traumatic event has left him bitter, scornful, and full of wrath. His madness overtakes him and he can no longer discern friend from foe. Some villagers are sympathetic to his plight, but this only hastens their doom. He begins brainwashing his fellow band members until he has an entire orchestra of powerful bards all mentally at his command. He uses them all at once to cast massive spells with his symphonies that can alter reality itself. He can cast mass suggestion that can affect an entire kingdom of thousands. His elemental spells can cause huge storms and alter climates. His summoning spells can conjure entire companies of exotic beasts and baddies to do his bidding. Being a brilliant musician and a master conductor, your adventurers are going to need some earplugs before taking him on. I present to you for your consideration, the Sinister Maestro. Dungeon Master hot tip here. If your players are proud of a particular ability, spell, or effect that they have, allow them to use it effectively every once in a while. Like, don't give them a ring of underwater breathing and then not have some kind of underwater encounter. If the fighter is proud about the fact that they're resistant to fire damage now, why don't you allow them to actually experience that effect? All players have strengths and weaknesses, but allow them to be rewarded for having strengths to begin with. Don't put them in situations where their strengths are null and void. Should you make encounters challenging for your players? Of course you should. Should you periodically exploit their weaknesses? Of course you should. But again, allow your players to have a measure of success every once in a while and make it feel natural. Allow them to be rewarded for their strengths. Alright, D&D TikTok, let me tell you a little bit about another one-shot I did, and I called it Jungle Book. Now, this has the potential to be a long, drawn-out campaign, but I did it as a mid-level one-shot. There was a couple of stipulations. All players needed to choose animalistic-type humanoids to play. Players could be Luxodons, Tabaxi, even an Aarakocra. Literally, the list was endless. Anyway, the players begin in a sacred savanna, a place where animals can live in harmony called the Everester. The history behind all of this is that animals were once very feral and savage and were hunted by demons hundreds of years ago. But seemingly out of nowhere, angels came and rescued all the animals. The angels helped the animals evolve, worked collectively, and they formed their protective lands called the Everester. But now, this is where the players come in. The players are summoned to a high court of the land where a religious elder has claimed that the demons have returned. This prediction is also on the heels of several scouting parties going missing and their bodies were ravaged. The group is given stern orders to strictly investigate the military losses, but the religious elder tells the party that they should ignore those orders and instead go investigate an ancient angel and demon battleground. Regardless of the location that they travel to, they soon learn that their adversaries are very dangerous. Soon, they're under attack from multiple assailants who are able to do a massive amount of damage at an extreme range. The demons have returned. The party is all but nearly struck down, and all hope is lost until the group is saved by an angel? The angels catch the demons off guard and quickly dispatch them. Are these creatures really the divine angels and demons that their entire society is structured upon? And just as the angels are carrying away the bodies of the demons, they look at the jacket. And in bold lettering, it says Everester backwards. That's right, all of the players and land and history that's in this game is nothing more than a forest reserve. What will the players do now with this reality-shattering information?
I like your funny words, Magic Man.